Hi, and welcome to Transparent with Tina. I am Tina Marx, your host. Today's guest is a best-selling author, podcaster, speaker, and health coach. But prior to all this, does she have a backstory? You don't want to miss this show. Up next, Amberly Lago. Welcome, Amberly. So good to see you, my love.
It is always good to see you. Thank you for having me. This is the highlight of my day. I've seriously been like, oh, I can't wait to talk to you. So thank you for having me on.
Me too. Let me tell you something. Since I read your book, and I have to, for this show, I have a lot of people that write books. So I've got to listen to books and get through them. But I don't remember the last time I got through a book in less than a day and a half. I swear, I could not put your book down. A lot of them are more for for knowledge and things that you need to know. Like I read, Dr. Gundry's Plant Paradox, and that's for I've got to understand. But this book was a novel. It was so from the heart, and we're going to get into that in a minute. But let's start with your backstory because, I announced you podcaster, speaker, bestseller, best-selling author, and but you have a backstory because, and you're a fitness coach too.
Yeah.
Before all this, okay, you grew up in Texas, right? And I really identified with you in the book because you were a tomboy. And it just so reminded me of me. And the name of your book is True Grit and Grace. And I love the name. It's so fitting. And, I've only met you like once before I read the book. And I'm going, man, that is her. And so tell us a little bit about growing up, grit and grace in Texas, and some of the things that you had to endure growing up before you moved to California.
Well, you know what? Yeah, I think sometimes when we read somebody's bio, it's like, oh, wow, best-selling author, all these things. But I think I should include some of the biggest failures that I've had and just the tragedies so people know that it's a lot of grit to get to. And I have to say, if you would have told me 4 years ago that I would be sitting here with you talking about a book, I would have been like, oh, that's crazy, because I never thought of that. Ever since I was a little girl, I started dancing when I was 3 years old. So I grew up dancing and I was an athlete. I was in track. In fact, there was a point where I had to choose. I had my coach who wanted me to train for the Olympics, and I had my dance instructor who wanted me to compete for dance. And I chose dance. And
you say that in your book. You just absolutely, everywhere you were going, everywhere you went all day long, you were just dancing.
Yes, my poor mom, I must have driven her crazy. She would be like, be still. Because I was always dancing, tap dancing in the kitchen. And then we would go out places and people would start saying, show them how to dance. And at the local, Dairy Queen every Friday night after football. I don't know how my parents allowed me to do this, but I was on the table dancing. I was like the entertainment for everybody. I was table dancing at age 6. But
adorable.
I loved it. And, my daughter, who's 12, my youngest daughter, she is the same way. And so I can see it's like I'm looking at myself when I was her age, and I so identify how she loves to run and she loves to dance. She loves to move, and, it brings joy. So I always wanted to move to California. I think I was about 8 years old when I realized I am moving to California. I just knew it. Yes.
What did you even know about California at 8 years old? Just things that you maybe saw on TV or heard or movies or?
Well, we had these dance competitions. I was from a really small town, and every year there was this big dance competition in Dallas. So we got to stay in a hotel, which was a really big deal. And we got to meet all these instructors who flew out from Los Angeles, and they were like movie stars to me. I mean, what I aspired to do, was get to travel the world dancing. And so then MTV came out,
Mhm.
with all the girls dancing in the videos and stuff. And then I thought, well, you can get paid to do what you love. Well, that's what I want to do. I want to do that. And so I started working when I was about 13. I taught dance. I was a lifeguard. I babysat. I started babysitting when I was 8 years old. I scrubbed toilets. I did whatever it took. I worked at this place called the Cookie Jar where I wore roller skates and baked cookies to sell. I mean, I did whatever. And I saved up $1,200 and packed up my little Suzuki Samurai. And I was off and ready to go to California. And I was thinking about it the other day, just before we started recording this interview. And I was telling you I'm nervous about this big presentation that I have to do, or get to do. I should
Yeah,
change
get
that.
to
That
do.
I
I love
get to
that.
do.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was feeling so nervous. And I remember I'm focusing on the wrong thing. I remember when I was a dancer, I had so many people saying, "You're crazy. You're never going to make it." My poor parents were like, "You don't pack all your stuff. You're going to be right back." Friends were like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah. Go dance in Hollywood, whatever." And I didn't focus on all of that.
Right.
And I focused on what my heart desired and what made me happy and all the possibilities that could be. And I felt a little fearless, but I also think that ignorance is bliss. I
Yes.
had no idea how dangerous some situations would be, but got out to California. And when first got to LA, we drove down Sunset and we're at the Beverly Hills Hotel. There's like a park area across the street. And
Yes.
I get out. I've got on my, blue jean cutoff shorts and a cowboy hat and have been riding with the top down off the car. So my hair's a mess. Anyway, I get out and someone comes up right away and hands me a business card. And it was from LA Talent. And they said, "Have you ever thought about modeling?" And I was like, my dreams have come true. I just got here and I'm going to have an agent and all, of course it didn't work like that. I had to pay my dues. There was a lot of struggle in between there, but I was just so grateful to get to be in
It was
California.
kind of a sign, though. I mean, it was definitely a sign if you first landed and somebody's offering, for you to model. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
definitely kind of confirmation that maybe you made the right choice. I just want to go back here for a second too, when you were saying that you were focusing on the wrong thing. I think that, I just don't want to gloss over that because this is so key into most people's mindsets. Most people are focusing, including myself for the longest time, and I don't do it anymore, but we focus on what we don't want as opposed to what we do want. And you know what? Whatever you focus on, that is what you get, right? I mean,
Oh my
you know
goodness. The
that to be true.
universe will sure give you lessons.
Yeah.
If I say something, for instance, if I say something like, "Oh my goodness, I really need to work on boundaries with people," for sure, the universe will
We'll
give
bring
me
that to you.
tons of situations where I'm going to have to really practice setting strong, boundaries.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's all about what you focus on, where your attention goes, energy flows. And I think,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
mhm.
Absolutely. So, there was another part though that you do share in the book too, that you wanted to get out of Texas too, because you were having issues with your father. And I do think that's really important for people to know about you too. Right.
Yeah, well, thank you for bringing that up. I remember when my book first came out, they sent me a copy of it. And on the back of the book, it says, sexual abuse survivor wanted to, get her life back and claim her dignity. And my husband read it and he goes, "Oh my goodness, did you see what's on the back cover?" And I
Mm-hmm.
said, "Honey, I think you need to read the book." And that
Oh, he
was
hadn't
one
read
of
the book yet.
I mean, obviously not. He didn't know that I included the sexual abuse as a child. And I'm so glad that I did, even though it was the hardest thing for me to write about,
Right.
because I certainly did not want to hurt any members of my family or anything like that. But I think it was important to share. I was young. My mom remarried a man who was the abuser.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't feel like I had a safe place. And
Mm-hmm.
so luckily I turned to dance and I had a great dance teacher who was a great mentor. I
Right.
turned to track. I had a great coach. And I think that's really important for people to hear. Um, if you're a parent, to make sure that you are really in communication with your child, and you really, because I mean, look, we all get busy, we all get
Yeah.
caught up in
Yes.
things we're doing. And, I was really scared because my stepdad said he would kill my mom if I
That's
told.
the part. Yeah. So, I mean, you can be close with your children, but I remember when my son was, I don't know, very young, 4, maybe a little older than that, 6 or something. And I said, if, anybody pulls up next to you on the street in a car, and I don't care if they have a gun pointed at you and they say, get in the car, you run. Okay. You don't ever get in the car. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? It's as opposed to like, just going with somebody that's offering you candy. I mean, that's the hard facts. Cause you get in the car,
Mhm.
I know I would never see him again. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And so
Yeah.
this is really important. So if you're, so the reason I'm bringing that up, so if you have any kind of inkling that maybe your child is a little bit off or holding something inside, you can even go that extra mile and say, listen, if somebody said something to you, or they're saying something that they're going to hurt me or something like that, you still need to tell me. So like even go that extra length, because that's why you didn't say anything. You didn't want anything to happen to your mom, right?
Yeah, and then I finally, had the courage to tell my dad, which was really scary because when you're abused, they make you feel like you're the one that's
Of
wrong, that
course.
there's so much shame that comes along with sexual abuse. There's
Mhm.
so much shame. And I finally got up the nerve to tell my dad. And I told him, you can promise never to tell anybody. Well, that was my promise, never to tell anybody. But so he didn't. Now, I have to
Yeah.
say, people all parent differently. But if my child came and told me that somebody was
Sorry, you might
sexually
be mad at
abused
me,
them,
but I'm telling some, yeah, yeah. That,
I,
so it's
I, I
almost
would,
like,
they'd probably, I'd be in jail.
right, that is like a second betrayal for you. I remember reading that part going, oh my God, that was like a second betrayal.
Well, you know what? I used that moment, instead of letting it bring me down,
Mhm.
I learned to be self-reliant. And so I learned, well, if I want to be strong, if I want to be safe, if I want to make something out of myself, then I am going to have to stand up for myself. And so it wasn't long after that I fought back. And the minute I fought back, and I mean, I fought as hard as I could, he never touched me again. But he had broken me down so much to where, if I would cry, he would laugh and he would say, "I got you. I knew I could break you." And so for
Mhm.
years, I learned to not ever cry, which is so unhealthy. And, fast forward to when I became a mother, I was about 23 years old, and my daughter, no, I must have been about, oh no, gosh, I was probably like 27, because my daughter was about 5, and we were running through the airport and I missed my flight, and I just dropped my bags and I started crying. And she said, "Mama, I didn't know you knew how to cry." And it was the first time I had cried since I was a little kid,
Mhm.
because my whole life I had learned to suck it up and cowgirl up. And that gets you so far. But if we don't deal with our emotions, if we don't let that shame, that anger,
Yes.
frustration, fear, if we don't let it rise to the surface and then acknowledge it, we can't take steps to make it better. And so I had
You
to
can't
learn
heal it.
much later in life that acceptance and really looking at those things is what I had to do to move forward. I mean, I think so many of us, when we're in pain, any kind of pain or trauma, um, it's easy to try to eat too much or date too much or drink too much to try to numb it all out.
Totally. I did
And
that pretty much. I write about in my book too. I mean, I had the similar thing. I was in the car with my father, and I was an adult. We had gone to dinner. He said something really disappointing. I was crying in the car, and he starts mimicking me crying. And I never forget, I had my hand on the door handle. I nearly threw myself out of the car. going like 45 miles an hour, and I didn't. But I mean, it is the word is shame. And on the emotional
It's
scale,
shame.
shame is like the bottom one. Did you know that? On the
Mm-hmm.
emotional scale, it's like the lowest you can feel. So it sounds like I knew we had a lot of similarities. But so all this interesting, you think like this, I'm looking at the audience, right? Like this wasn't enough. So she comes to Los Angeles, where some beautiful things happen. You met your husband that you're married to now, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was wonderful. You were dancing, you got into fitness, and you were training people. Life was beautiful, right?
Finally, I'm like, finally. I mean, it was a lot of struggle to build my career, in the dance world. First of all, when I first got to LA, I was from a really small town and I was the best dancer there. But when I got to LA, oh my gosh, I had one of the teachers say, I am going to cut your arms and legs off and throw you out the window. Like I was horrible. And so, but I made scholarship at Joe Tremaine's The Dance Center, which was a huge deal. That was my dream. And I think that, I had to work harder than everybody. So I share this because, I think so many of us think we got to be perfect. We got to do this. We got to do so many things. And if you can just have some grit, that will sometimes get you further than any talent. And that's what I've done my whole life is I've just worked really hard.
Mm-hmm.
I've had passion that has fueled me,
Mm-hmm.
that led me into fitness. And I had a huge clientele. I was making six figures, finally met the man of my dreams. We had a baby girl. Life was good. Life was really good
Yeah,
until everything changed
I like that.
in
Like
the blink
that.
of an eye.
But you know
Yeah.
what? It's interesting. I see that, but everything that changes happens in a moment. You're born in a
Mhm.
moment, you die in a moment, you get married in a moment, you fall in love in a moment, you fall out. Isn't that interesting? I mean, I was thinking about that. I don't know if that's like a novelty to anybody else, but it like really hit me about 3 months ago when I was thinking about that, because it really does all happen in just one moment, right? So
You're
tell us.
so right.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I mean,
And on the opposite way, things also can go from like those days you're like, oh God, I don't know what I'm going to do. And the next moment, everything opens up too. So that's the beauty
mhm,
of life. I mean, you just
mhm.
never know what you're going to get, right?
Yeah, and I think it's very powerful in what you say. I was talking to a client about that this morning. I had given this presentation, and it was through a webinar. And I'm used to doing a lot of talks, but with people in person. And I love people, so I love seeing them and feeling their energy and
Right.
hugging them. And that's why I speak, because I feel like when we come together and you see that light come on in them, that's my passion. So this virtual speaking has been a new world. And I was doing this webinar and my screen share wouldn't work. It was terrible. And I got off that. I was like, I think I'm done with this speaking. Maybe this is just not what I'm supposed to do. And the very next thing, I get a ding on my phone. It's an event planner saying, I would love you to speak at my event. Can you do it next week? And I was like, okay, I really like this person. I'm going to speak at their event, but that's it. I'm done. And so then I spoke at their event. My dog, who weighs 3 pounds, never barked through my whole presentation downstairs. My family wasn't home. And I get off and I'm like, oh my gosh, see, this is just not for me. This whole virtual thing, that's so hard. I can't see the people. And I think that's it. I think I'm done. The very next text message from an event planner. We're doing a huge event. We want you to be a
Another
part
one.
of it. Another one. This one is you'll be speaking with the people from the Shark Tank and Heather Monahan and all these huge speakers. And I was like, okay, I'll do it. The next one, we want to pay you more. And so it's like, I said, yeah, but you know what? I don't want to do this for free anymore. I don't have time to do it for free. The next one was like, okay, we're going to pay you this much. So I think it's really important to share, like put it out in the universe very precisely what you want. Like, yeah, you want to be a speaker, and what do you want to do with that? What are your intentions? Because I really think it's powerful. And I think the universe has your back when you really are putting it out there.
Amberly, that was my post today. I said, if you don't know what you want, how can the universe bring it to you? And I say to my clients, you have to have your whys, and they've got, the more specific, the better.
Mm-hmm.
I want to make a lot of money. Well, the universe is going to be like, well, to one person, $30,000 might be a lot of money, and another person, 6 million might be a lot of money, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you have to be very specific. So you were maybe
Yeah.
asking for speaking engagements, but you forgot about pain speaking.
Yeah, because you know what? And when you make money, for me, when I make money, I'm able to grow my team more. I'm
Exactly.
able to employ someone else to help me along the way. And my husband was sitting in my office here with me the other day, and he's like, well, I'll pay you to coach me. I need time with you. You need how much? I need to pay you. What about if I give you this much money? And I'm like, I'm not really, it hit me. I'm not really as motivated by money.
Money.
And he said, well, what are you motivated by? Or what are you? And I said, you know what? Impact. I want to make impact.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, money to help along the way, to keep a roof over your head, to feed your family. I think that gives you freedom. But I think it's important to ask yourself, what are your intentions? Get specific with your goals,
Yes.
and what motivates you, and revisit your why often, because that is going to motivate you. Because you know what? We won't always be motivated. So whenever I'm feeling like I'm not motivated, I always go to what is my why? And then I always go to look at how far I've come. If I can get through so much, I can get through this too,
Benchmarks. Okay. Because what we do is we always look at, we don't have, we look at, what we haven't done as opposed to what we have done. Right. So I think it's really, really important. I mean, I even encourage at the end of the day to kind of look and see what you've done during the day. What have you crossed off your list? Give yourself a pat on the back for that.
Oh
If you
my
don't do it every
goodness.
day, if not weekly, if monthly, whatever,
We are so much alike. Look at this. I have a ton of sticky notes.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite things to do is cross it off. Like, oh,
yes,
I did that.
Yes.
Oh, I did this.
Isn't that the best feeling in the world?
It is.
It's like,
It
oh my
is.
God, I got something. Because people like us, for me, it's like, okay, on to the next. And it's like, then you feel like a machine. Then you can feel like burnout. Then you can almost feel like you haven't really even done it. Well, what have I done? Okay. But if you're crossing it off, you can actually, little things like, even if it's personal errands, things that need to be like going to the DMV or something, nobody wants to do that, but it takes some, action to do something like that. So, okay, let's get into that moment, that day that changed your life, really forever in good ways and in some really, really difficult ways, right?
Yeah. Like I said, life was good. I finally felt like, okay, I mean, everything's good. I've worked hard. This is a good life. And I was coming home from work. I had ran 11 miles in my best time that day. I had trained clients. It was a holiday weekend, Friday afternoon, sunny California, cruising down Ventura Boulevard. And I look over at a guy, and I swear I thought he saw me. I'm only going about 25, and he shot out of a parking lot and hit me, T-boned me. I couldn't do anything really but try to let go of the clutch and jump off, but it still wasn't soon enough. I was thrown about 30 feet, and I was sliding across the asphalt. And I remember thinking, oh my gosh, I'm sliding down Ventura, and I'm curled up in a ball. And thank God I had a backpack on, because my spine would have been ground to nothing if I didn't have that.
You didn't mention you were on a motorcycle. I know that.
Oh, I forgot to say I was on a motorcycle.
Everybody thinks you're in a car. You're not.
Oh no, yeah.
Let me
fully
back up,
exposed.
when you read
fully exposed.
But prior to that, a week or so before that, you were in a car accident.
Yeah, I was in a car accident, and actually, this was the first day that I felt strong enough
Right.
to get on my bike. So it was one of the reasons I rode my bike to work that day was I wanted to do something to feel strong again. So,
Yep.
after my car accident, I was rear-ended. I was at a dead stop, and somebody hit me at 55 miles an hour, and I had severe whiplash. I mean, the
So
kind of
you're
whiplash that I tried to go to work the next day, and I remember one of my clients walked in and she looked at me and she goes, "What happened to you? You need to go home." I mean, it was terrible. I could barely move.
So you just get
Um,
done with that. You just get done with
yeah.
that, and that pales. I mean, that looked like nothing compared.
Oh, that was a piece of
That was a
cake
cakewalk. I
compared.
mean,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
could do that
So
all day long, right? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, when I got hit, when I finally stopped, and I only looked down at my leg once, and that was enough. When I looked down at my leg, I'd just come from work, so I had leggings on. I think like the leggings were the only thing keeping my leg together. And it's crazy to look at your leg and see it just broken into pieces. And, my foot was dangling on, only held on by the skin. And blood would just with every heartbeat there would be like a squirt of blood, and like a horror movie. It was like one of those horror movies. And so I grabbed my leg. I was thinking it might fall off, and I held on to my leg, and I was like cussing and saying, help. I didn't want to let go of my leg and try to find my phone to call 911, because I was really afraid that like my leg would fall off. And so people started to come up, but when I knew it was pretty serious was people weren't walking up to me. They were slowly walking with
They were
just this
scared.
horrified look
That
on their
I would have
face.
been too, as much as I would have wanted to help you. I think the only person that really would have rushed you is maybe a nurse or a doctor, because
And
that
that's who
that
came up to
sight.
me. It was a nurse ended up coming up to me. A guy ripped off his belt and made a tourniquet on my leg. My femoral artery was severed, and you can bleed out really fast from that. So that guy saved my life just making a tourniquet on my leg. And when I'm laying in the street, when I look back, I think, my default has always been to, well, what can I do? What am I going to do? Well, this happened. What can I do next? How am I going to get out of this situation? And even lying in the street, one of the thoughts I had was, well, this can't be good. I may have to train clients on crutches for a while. It's like, hello, you may die.
Yeah.
And I did not realize that I might die until I got loaded up into the ambulance. And the paramedics were sitting on both sides of me, and I was squeezing this paramedic's leg like as hard as I could. And I remember looking up at him, and I wanted him to look at me to give me any kind of
Encouragement.
reaction and
Mhm.
say something, and there was nothing.
He
And
wouldn't
I
look at
thought,
you?
he wouldn't look at me. And I thought, oh, this probably means I'm going to die. Am I going to die? And then they were going to give me morphine. And I said, wait, and this is how crazy I am. Okay. So I had a brand new, beautiful, hot pink Lululemon jacket on. And I'm on the gurney, my head's taped down, and they start to cut my jacket. Little did I know the back of my jacket is shredded from sliding across the asphalt. And I was like in shock. And I said,
Don't you
oh, no,
dare tell me
no.
you're like, don't cut my jacket off.
I was like, don't cut my jacket. It's a brand new jacket. Please don't cut my jacket. I'll take it off. So I start wiggling around, out of my jacket, and I'm laying there in a sports bra. They're about to give me an IV. I said, wait, what are you giving me? They said morphine. And I said, well, you can't give me that. I'm allergic. I'll go into anaphylactic shock. And they said, well, that's all we have. You're going to have to tough it out. And then I thought, maybe I do want to die, because I had never experienced pain like this.
I was going to say, because
And,
I know when you have something that traumatic, your body creates, I think, morphine itself, right? Kind of when you go in a shock like that. But you were
well, it's
feeling,
adrenaline. You go into fight or flight. And so
right.
there's a
But you
lot of
were,
adrenaline that your body produces. But in the hospital, I remember somebody asked me, they said, well, did it hurt? It hurt undescribable words of how it hurt. I've never experienced anything
But
like
that was
that.
just the
And
beginning. That was just the beginning. I mean,
that was the beginning of months, well, years, really. Years.
how
I
long
mean,
were
I
you in
just
the
had my
hospital?
last surgery a year ago.
So wait, what
Well,
year
I
was
was
this that
put,
it started,
this
Amberly?
was 2010. And,
2010. And you
and so it's
just
been
had
10
your
years
last
ago, and I
10 years ago.
just had my last surgery last year. So it's been, they had to put me in induced coma because my body, all my organs were shutting down. They couldn't control my pain. So what was happening, I was losing so much blood, and everything was shutting down. Your kidneys stop working, and then slowly your heart stops to pump and you die. And so they put me in induced coma, and when I woke up from a coma, the first thing they told me was, we're going to amputate your leg.
Mhm.
You have a 1% chance of saving it. And that 1% chance was like, oh, well, there's a chance. There's my glimmer of hope. Let's save it. And I have to say
You were
also,
adamant about you were not letting anybody take your leg.
well, you know what? My whole life I'd been a dancer, I'd been an athlete. My drug of choice was running.
Mhm.
And my career, I was the breadwinner of the family. And I thought, I know there are plenty of people out there that are amputees, but I thought, no, I want my leg. I want to keep my leg. Now, I just had a doctor's appointment this morning. I go see my pain doctor. We're always trying to come up with different solutions to get me out of pain.
Is it this
Um,
morning? This morning?
this morning,
Okay.
um, it took 34 surgeries to save my leg. And just this morning at the pain doctor, I said, you know, thank you. I was diagnosed with complex regional pain syndrome, which
I
is a
wanted to talk about
disorder of the sympathetic nervous system. And I love my doctor. And I told him this morning, I said, I want to say thank you. Because about a year after my accident, and I don't know, it was probably surgery number like 28 that they had already done to piece it back together.
Mhm.
I went in and I said, I want you to amputate it. I can't take the pain. He said, well, we can't
You
amputate
said
it.
that when?
About a year after the accident, when
Right.
and he said, well, it's too late. You already have this nerve disorder.
Right.
If we amputate, it could get worse, it could spread, and then you would just not have a leg. And so it
So
was
let's talk
that
about, yeah, because
moment.
you talk about that in the book, and it's called, what is the name of it? It's a nerve disorder. Is that what it is?
Hmm.
What's
It's
it called?
called, well, it's dubbed the suicide disease because it's ranked highest on the pain scale, and there's no known cure. So it's a disorder of your sympathetic nervous system, and your body, there's a constant loop of pain. So sometimes it feels like burning. Sometimes it feels like, a lot of times for me, what it feels like is I have a vice grip on my foot, and it's just squeezing and squeezing and squeezing until you feel like your foot's going to explode. And, even sitting here, I don't have a sock or shoe on my right foot. I can't wear cute, tight leggings anymore. I can't wear certain shoes. I can't wear things that put a certain amount of pressure on my ankle, leg, or foot because it will flare me up. And I got out of the hospital. I had $2.2 million worth of medical bills. I borrowed money from a friend with interest. Um, I had spent thousands
That's
on
up and above
medical.
of what your insurance paid. That's your portion.
Insurance ended up settling with us. Like,
Okay.
we said, can we offer to pay a certain amount?
Yeah.
We had doctors that were out of network. We had no idea that they were out of network. And they came in to see me every day, and it was $100 every time they came in to see me. And they don't tell you that when you're at the hospital.
Right.
And so after, getting out of the hospital, it wasn't just my physical recovery, it was my emotional and mental state. It was, I now have a deformed leg with a fused ankle that's metal from the knee down and scarred from the hip down. And I used to, my I mean, I was a walking billboard for fitness before. I
Mhm.
didn't sell clients. I met people on the street. And I'm not saying that from like I am all that. My whole life, I really worked hard to be physically fit and ate healthy. And now all of that was gone, like
But I got
in
to
the
be honest
blink of
with
an
you.
eye.
I've been following you since we met. I've been watching your Instagram, so I've seen what you look like now. And girl, you
Oh,
still. Where do you get those abs?
oh, you're so sweet. Let me
I'm
tell
serious.
you.
Oh my god. I mean,
Well, you know
seriously,
what?
you look amazing. Let me ask you a question. Are you still in all that? Is that pain? That pain's never going away?
I'm in pain all the time. I've had ketamine. I'd never done a drug in my life. And all of a sudden, I was having ketamine infusions to try to reboot your nervous system. I had a spinal stimulator where they implanted nerve uh, metal leads into my back. I tried Eastern Western medicine. At one time, I was on 73 homeopathic pills a day and 11 different prescriptions. Nothing was working for my pain, and nothing changed until I changed my mindset and how I viewed it and what I did with working out. And, I feel really grateful and really blessed that I grew up with fitness as that was my go to, that was my drug of choice. And I knew that if I could just start working out again, I knew that I would feel better. And I had so many doctors that were like, you need to take antidepressants, girl. Like you are going to be messed up. Like, there's no way anybody could go through what you're going through with you've lost your career, you don't look the same, you've lost your joy, you're struggling financially, what are you going to do? You're going to need antidepressants. And finally, about the third doctor that told me, you've got to take this, I tried to take it and my body just did not agree with it. I would throw up every time I took it.
Hmm.
And I finally told him, I said, well, I'm going to have to be a little depressed or throw up. So I'll choose depression and I will somehow work through it. And so I started lifting weights, even in the hospital bed at Cedars. I had one of the trainers bring me some dumbbells. They weren't heavy weights, but it made me, to me, fitness is freedom. To
Mhm.
me, fitness is connection with your body and it's accomplishment for the things that your body can do.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was a celebration that I was working hard to get better every day. And then I asked the doctor, I said, can you please install a pull up bar over my bed? And they looked at me like I was crazy. But the nurses loved me because I was the only patient that they didn't have to worry about like changing their bedpan or whatever.
You pull
I
yourself
could
up.
do it. I could do it.
Yeah.
But I wanted, even though I couldn't stand up, I couldn't use the bathroom on my own. Um, I had bed sores. I had lost 20 pounds of muscle. My hair was falling out. I could still do whatever I could to strengthen my mind, strengthen my body.
Mhm.
And one of the ways I did that was I also did anything and everything I could to be of service to other people,
Yes.
because that was my medicine as well. That made me feel good. So I was still talking to clients on the phone. I had other trainers that I arranged for them to train my clients. I even had nurses that would come in to my room and they would share their struggles and I would give them advice, kind of like my grandmother gave me. And it took me out of self-pity when I could
Exactly.
be grateful, when I could be of service, and when I focused on what I had to do just one day at a time.
Mhm.
But it was torture, but it has taught me a lot about grit. And by the grace of God, that light in me, 'cause we all have light.
Yes.
And I think mine was about to it was on dimmer. It was like on the dimmest it could be. And I was able to find things that would light that up. And I think that's why I'm so passionate about what I do, is because if the human spirit is just powerful beyond belief, beyond words. And if I can show some other people, especially with CRPS, that they can do things again, because I was told I'd be in a wheelchair for the rest of my life. I was told I would never work again. I'd be permanently disabled. And I work, I walk, I work out. And even in this 30-day fitness challenge that I'm doing right now,
Mhm.
do you know most of the people that have joined in on that challenge are people that are like me that have CRPS? And
Really?
one girl said, she was in tears and she left me a message. She said, I haven't moved in 2 years and I came across your page on Instagram, and to know that you have pain, but you somehow get through the pain made me do this challenge with you. It's the first time I've moved in 2 years. And that is why I do what I do, because if we can all lift each other up
Yep.
and, spread some positivity and kindness and love, then we're all better for it, you
That,
know?
that's it in a nutshell. I mean, get outside of yourself, be of service to other people, because you know what, when I realized, when I was felt depressed or felt like despair or hopelessness or whatever, me thinking about that just perpetuated it.
Mm-hmm.
And the minute I got outside of myself and said, what can I do to be of service to other people? That's the first thing I do before I get out of bed. I mean, I say, God, how can I best serve today?
Mm-hmm.
And my day really does unfold. When I don't say that, it's a different kind of a day. And the
Yeah.
other
And
thing
you
that you
know
said,
what? I love your book.
oh,
I
thank you.
love your book. I haven't finished it yet, but I knew I would love it from the very first. When I opened it and I read the very
Oh,
beginning.
the introduction. Yeah, the
I
preface.
love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah, thank you.
I do the same thing. I
Yes.
have my serenity prayer here, like right on my desk. I
Yep.
say my prayers every day. And, I think that matters,
I think it does
because,
too. I mean,
because,
you're so inspirational. And you know what? Who knew this was going to happen in your life? I mean, I'm sorry to hear about your pain, but you know what? Your life is really taking off in unexpected ways. I mean, you've
oh
got
my goodness, it's just
to,
crazy. I went from,
I've got,
a place where I had so much shame. I I hated the way that I looked. I had no confidence. And, you know, transformation's possible, hope's available, change is possible. And I think that, being able to transform shame to, joy and confidence, and being able to turn can'ts into cans and tragedies into triumphs. I never would have imagined that I would write a book, but I wanted to be able to. My intention was, if I can help one person
exactly.
overcome a hard time or a darkness that they may be stuck in, then that'll be it. Then that will give my pain purpose. No idea that I would be asked by, Megan Kelly to come on the Today Show, and then the doctors, and then Hallmark, and then Good Morning La La Land, and Health Magazine. And I remember I had just done, I didn't know what I was doing. So if anybody's listening and you're struggling trying to figure out, what you're doing, or, what your purpose is, just get curious with the things that really bring you joy. And for me, what brings me joy is connecting with other people. That has been the best part of my journey. And, when I wrote my book, I didn't even own a laptop. This
Mhm.
laptop that I'm using now, I had no idea how to work technology. I hand wrote my whole book. I bought a laptop, typed it up, got a publisher, just did the work every day. My publisher was like, we don't do any marketing for you. If you want to sell this book, then you have to market it yourself. I had no idea how to market.
Mhm.
And I just did it one day at a time, one step at a time. And
Yes.
if you, like I said before, you don't have to be the smartest, or you don't have to be the prettiest, or you don't have to have the most money, or whatever it is that you're telling yourself
Mhm.
that, because I thought that a lot, like, oh, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough. But my passion outweighed my fear. My why is what I focused on, and that's what enabled me to just keep moving forward. And I had a lot of naysayers. I had so many people that were like, oh, well, you're a fitness girl. How are you going to write a book? You don't even own a computer. You don't know how to write a book. You don't have a college education. I mean, believe me, I've
Oh my
heard it
God.
all.
So listen, when you get further into my book, okay, I think it's like in the beginning where I'm saying that to myself. Who are you to, it's my own negativity in my head. That's why it took me 8 years to write that book. I've written 2 books. The second book only took me 4 months. The first one, because that's what I kept hearing in my head. Who are you to write a book? You don't have a degree in writing. In fact, you don't have any degrees. You didn't graduate college. You know, who am I? Who am I? Who am I?
Mm-hmm.
And you know, the other thing that's really, really important is you don't have to know from A to Z, because that's what I used to do. If I didn't have the whole thing figured out from A to Z, I'm not even going to try. And the whole point is nobody has it figured out from A to Z. You take, like you said, one step leads to the next step. It leads to another opening and another opening and another opening. And before you know it, you're like there. And now you're on to another project. Just like you wrote the book. Then you have a podcast. Now you have these speaking engagements. You have courses. In fact, I wanted to ask you, you have a new course coming out called Your Resilient Life. Right?
Yeah. And yes, because I really want to take people through the steps on how to tap into their resilience and thrive. And the thing about resilience is we all have it, but we have to work on it. Just like you go to the gym to get stronger, we have to work on our resilience to, thrive instead of just try to survive life right now. And I think with so much going on in the world right now and so many changes. I mean, I'm talking to you from my tiny home office right now. My daughter has been downstairs figuring out virtual school. I'm the lunch lady. I'm just trying to figure it all out. And that voice in our head can get pretty noisy of who do you think you are? And I remember, and I'm just going to say something really quick and then I'll get to the course. But what really helped me with that was when I was really feeling like not worthy enough to give my TEDx talk. It was at Berkeley. It was their 10-year anniversary. Every single speaker that was there to speak had a PhD. And, I'm on their website and I'm the only one with no letters behind her name. And my husband pointed out, he goes, maybe they could like say you're an author or coach or something, or put your fitness credentials up there or something, because you're the only one. And so I was just like, even more like, oh my gosh, I don't deserve to be here. So the curator had called me and I was like, yeah, I'm not trying to advertise my book, but is there any way you could just put author behind my name? Cause I'm the only one that doesn't have a PhD. She goes, oh my.
Oops. Hey, we just froze. Amberly?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay, hold on. Okay, start off from there because we both froze for a second. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So you said, oh my God.
Yeah.
So she said what?
She goes, oh my gosh, seriously? Does your husband think that you need a PhD? She goes, you know what? You have a PhD in heart. And that is why we've invited you to do TEDx Berkeley. And don't you ever forget that. That is why you're here. And I was like, oh, what a great way to look at it. That changed everything for me. If we can just get out of our head and stay in our heart, it makes life so much better.
Amberly, honestly, what I was thinking when you were saying that is like, okay, it's difficult to get a PhD, but honestly, I read the book. What you went through, that pales in comparison in comparison to what you've been through, getting a PhD. And I think anybody after reading the book would agree with me. So that's how I feel.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's true. Not many people would be able to come out the other end and like, I mean, you just keep coming out swinging. And
well, I do. You know what? Every day is different. I never know what to expect. I just believe in asking God to help me through the day and walk alongside me, having a morning routine. And every day is different, but if we can just do our best, and that's what my course is all about, really teaching all the lessons that I've learned, not just It's a mind, body, spirit, life.
Exactly.
That's how we do transformation and
Yeah,
have the best life possible, despite, what life throws our way. Because we can never predict what life is going to throw our way. Just when I think I have things figured out, something else is thrown in there. So if we have a strong foundation and we
exactly.
have that resilience, when things don't go as planned, we can bounce forward a lot
Exactly.
faster.
And you mentioned morning routine, and I have that too. And that's exactly why I have a morning routine, because I don't know what the day brings. And if I don't do my morning routine, it's like I'm almost like a sitting duck. I mean, I'm much more prepared to handle any challenge after I journal, after I meditate, after I do my
Yeah.
affirmations and my gratitude list and I exercise. Same thing,
Yeah, we are so much alike.
we are. We
But I could tell when we first met, like when we first talked, I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, we're like soul sisters.
Yeah, I know. And I'm so glad you're not too far away from him and you're actually driving distance from.
I know. We've got to get together soon.
We do. So tell us where we can find your course. Is it out now?
No, I did a live course and that just ended. So I'll have another one starting. I think not until January,
Okay.
but I don't know when this show airs, but that should be soon. But I do have, a gift for your listeners if you,
Oh,
because
perfect.
I believe that gratitude is really alchemy. And like you said something
Yeah,
before, you said, focusing on your cans. And I think instead of your cans, and I think that my gratitude practice has really changed my life.
me too.
And it really turns what we don't have into what we do have and what we can't do into what we can do. And so I have a downloadable free journal if you want to, really dive in and get a journal, start your gratitude daily practice. It really puts you in the right mindset. You can text 818
Okay.
214 7374. Again, that number is 818 213. Oh, oops, 214 818 214 7378. If you text the word grateful, you will just get your free gratitude journal, downloadable journal. And also, we can stay connected. I am really big on just staying connected. It took me a long time to ask for help. I always tried to do it alone, and we're so much stronger together. So if we can just reach out, know that you are never alone in what you're going through. So reach out to me. You can reach me at amberlylago.com. Join the fitness challenge. It's going on for 30 days at
Right
Amberly
on.
Lago Motivation on Instagram. So many fun. I mean, people are sharing that they're moving. They're like cleaning their kitchen. They're walking their cat in a stroller. They're kayaking. They're tap dancing. They're doing TikTok dances. Like, we need to bring on the fun,
Exactly.
and keep our bodies moving. And that's why I'm doing this challenge for accountability, for connection, and for fun. Because,
Connection is huge because especially now people can feel so alone, and so
mm-hmm,
disconnected. And the synergy, I mean, they say in classes, anything with the synergy, it really just helps move the energy around and like you said, make you feel connected and I love it. I love it. And so that course we're going to advertise. That won't be out till January. Um, okay. 3 takeaways for somebody that wants to be an entrepreneur like yourself. Do you have like 3 takeaways for somebody that to get started?
I think that really focus on your why.
Mm,
What is it that will keep you motivated? Because we don't always feel motivated, but if you have a strong why, you can get through almost any how.
mm-hmm.
I think that connection, and when I say connection, not just connection with other people, but connection to the moment that you're in right now. I mean, being grateful for where you are right now and really being present, being grateful and connected to your family. So often we can get so busy and like we're on this hamster wheel that we don't even enjoy the moment that we're in right now. I know I'm so guilty of that. Like, I just went from the Today Show and I went to brunch, and my publicist said, okay, you need to start working on the second book. And I was like, I launched my book today, like, and so everything is just like, but if we can be connected to the moment
Yes.
and really be in appreciation, I think that, we're much better. And also, one thing that I've learned is I have people ask me a lot about, how do you write a book? How do you publish a book? How do you market? Like, if you don't know something, find somebody who's done it before you, who can walk you through that.
Yes.
And, I had somebody ask me the other day, they're like, yeah, I want to do this big project, but I'm not sure. Do I need a coach? And I had a mentor for everything I've done. My coaches have been huge in my life, my, teachers. I went and took a class on how to write a book. I went into the Apple store and was the one that kept raising my hand in class because I did not know how to work a computer. So if you don't know how to do something, take a course, Google it, YouTube it, find somebody who's done it before you, and hire them to walk you through,
Yep.
And so you can get from point A to point B, and on the right track, and you don't have to make the same mistakes like that I made.
Yeah, I truly, I feel like everybody should have a mentor and a coach.
Mm-hmm.
I think, it's all interdependent. It really is. And I think that, I had two at one time, two different kind of coaches, and mentoring is completely different than coaching. So,
It really is.
yeah. Yeah. Well, perfect, Amberly. Well, I know that I'm going to have you on again when you get your second book out.
Thank you. And I've got to have you on my podcast.
That's right. I'd love it.
Yeah. I'm finishing your book.
Okay.
And then we're going to get you on my podcast. So I can't wait.
And there's it.
Oh, look. Oh, I got to take a picture of this. Oh my God. Yeah. I'm really a big fan.
Okay.
Fangirl over here. Okay, ready.
Send it to me.
I love it.
All right. Perfect.
Oh my God. You know what? That is what, it's so nice when you have girlfriends that you can support each other and cheer each other on and give each other advice. I mean, that is what I am really grateful for, is the girlfriends in my life like you, that we're like, we just met and we've already like exchanged connections and different ways of doing things, and, to try to help each other out. And when you find people that you want to see each other grow, that is true. Blessing.
And I've said this before, and it's very true, because I've been on both sides. There was many times in my life that I was envious when somebody else would get something and I didn't get it, because I was coming from a lack mentality. I felt like if you got it, then there's less for me. I know now that there's plenty for everybody. Mm-hmm. And the more that you give, it's not less for you. It's like, your time will come when it's the right time and you put in enough work and the right action. And, timing is everything. And it's like, sometimes what you think is the right time, maybe the universe, or, it's funny. I did on Instagram, I did a post, and somebody wrote back, because I used the word universe, and she said, well, it's really God. God created the universe. And I said, I interchange those words because some people don't like the word God. It's all the same thing. Source. Let's just call it source, because it's, sometimes you just have to be patient. It's not your time, but when God, the universe, has something for you to do, it'll happen. It'll happen.
Yeah, it happens. And if you feel envious, we're human. We all get that way sometimes. I don't think, we're human. I switch that, and I think about inspiration, and I think about, oh my gosh, like my friend's podcast just hit the top on podcast. I know if she can do it, that gives me hope that I can do it too.
Exactly. It can light a fire under your ass.
Yeah, use it to motivate
use it to fuel you instead of getting envious, because what's the other way? The other way is you're going to get angry, and you're going to sit there and you're going to stop doing what you're doing and get into the woe's me. It happens to everybody else, but it doesn't happen to me. That doesn't get you anywhere. Trust me, I've sat on that bench long enough in my life, because I was filled with fear and self-doubt and everything else, and I will not allow that to take me over. So Anyway, such a pleasure having you on,
Oh,
Amberly.
I
And
just love talking to you. I
me
adore
too.
you.
I
It's been
adore you
such a
too.
pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for letting me share with your amazing audience. And I'm just sit here with you again as the highlight of my day.
Aw, thank you. Me too. And thank you all for watching. We're going to leave all of Amberly's information down below. We will see you next week. Thanks, Amberly.
Thank you.